Okay, we're recording. This is Wrong Speed Record Chat number 33. We have Anthea Leyland. Hello,
Hello.
Anthea.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm super. How are you?
Terrific.
Very large mug of coffee.
Yes, same here. Same here.
And there isn't bourbon in it at all.
That's, is that not normal then?
No, well, no, I did just put a little tiny nip in.
Wow, it is lunchtime after all.
Today.
Where are you?
I am in my new house in St Leonard's on Sea
Oh,
in East Sussex.
okay.
Yes, East Sussex. I moved in December, 2 weeks before Christmas. Always
Wow.
good. So I've been here for 5 months this week in this
Right.
house, which I'm renovating at the moment.
Awesome.
So there's lots of dust, lots of building work being done, lots of painting. Yeah.
So St Leonard's is Hastings, essentially, right?
Yeah, it's right in the middle of Hastings and Bexhill.
Yeah, I got a friend who's just opened a record shop in Hastings.
Wax and Cloth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Adam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your friend as well, I guess. I don't know.
I know him, yeah.
Yeah.
He used to shop in Green River, one of the shops I worked in Reading, when he was a young person. He used to buy records off me when he was a teenager.
Oh, he's forever young, though. I see him. He's always very trendy and forever young, from what I can tell.
I feel I feel terrible that I haven't been in there, and it is literally up the road. I have driven past it, but yeah, I do need to go in.
Yeah. Is it open properly? I haven't.
I think they opened a couple of weeks ago, so yeah, it seems to be. I think it's within a sort of coffee shop sort of type shop thing.
Right.
So
Okay. Yeah, that's the way to do it nowadays, isn't it? Multitask.
yeah, definitely.
So, you moved from London?
I did. Yeah, moved from North London down to here.
Excellent. I'm kind of jealous. I'm kind of jealous. Nice down there.
Well, I sold my flat and just decided that I was going to semi-retire to the coast.
We're all doing it.
It's lockdown, you turn 50 during lockdown and you're suddenly like, what am I doing with my life? Why am I still here? I'm going to go to the seaside. Yeah, that's good.
Eat ice cream. Eat ice cream. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet though.
Yeah.
Not really. Yeah.
So, I think we first met.
Go on then.
It has to be when we worked at Vital.
Yes, would have been. Now I can't remember the years because my brain is quite rubbish. I'm gonna say, I don't know. You tell me when you think it was.
2000-ish, give or take.
Yeah, probably. Maybe. I thought it was before that.
It could have been. I probably started around 99. I probably was hiding for the first year.
I think it was in the 90s because in the 2000s I was working at Digital Hardcore and Rotters Golf Club.
Ooh,
so
okay. Awesome. Yeah. So around 99, then I started at Vital. Vital is a record distributor, if anyone doesn't know, and it was based in Ladbroke Grove at the time. It was in a really, really boring office at the top of Ladbroke Grove.
I used to actually work in the Bristol office before the London office. I moved up to the London office from the Bristol office, which was in an even worse boring.
Yeah, because that's where the warehouse was, right? All the records.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a really boring office in a kind of mild industrial estate near the Sainsbury's, up towards Kensal Rise in Ladbroke Grove. Yeah. I'm under the impression it's a block of flats now.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah, and it merged and ended up being PS. But you were, what were you? You were like the traveling salesperson, right?
I did work in the office for a while, and then I became a sales rep. So yeah, I used to go out on the road, go to record shops. Horrible job. Used to do like sort of 8-9 record shops a day. Do the southeast.
Yeah.
And then go home.
Because there was a guy called Jason. Did he do Central London?
That's right, Jason Barton.
Yeah. Hello, Jason, if you're watching. I haven't spoke to him since then, so it's unlikely.
Yeah, he did Central London, and then I did everything else sort of out, down as far as I used to go to Deal, Guildford. I did that sort of spectrum. So
yeah, that's
a lot of good record shops in those days.
Yeah. So that's 20 years ago. So, I mean, how do you think that world is now?
I would imagine that there isn't such a thing as reps anymore. I would imagine it's all just done digitally, and you know, no such thing as car stock. You know, we used to just trundle around with loads of stock. Can you imagine doing that now? No.
Yeah. You actually had work vehicles, didn't you?
Yeah. We used to have stock in the back of the cars, and used to stock people up with stuff. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when reps used to come in to Green River, the shop that I used to work in Reading, in the early 90s. We used to love it when the reps used to come in because they used to just bring us loads of stuff.
Yeah.
And cakes.
Cakes.
Tea and cakes.
But all you had was Baha Men CD singles and Moby Play. Right?
Yeah, Moby played Badly Drawn Boy. What else did we used to do? I can't remember.
Basement Jaxx. You'd have had a lot of Basement Jaxx.
Oh, a lot of Basement Jaxx. Yeah, those kind of things. Yeah. And Oasis, of course.
Did we do Oasis? We didn't do Oasis.
Creation.
Oh, that was before my time then.
Oh, you see, we did a lot of Oasis in the early days. Yeah.
No, okay, yeah, no. We had the Strokes were big when I was there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I did like some of it. I think we did some good records. One of the ones I liked was this series, the soul jazz stuff.
I have a whole section of those soul jazz records down there.
Yeah, same here.
Such a good label and such a good shop.
Yeah, brilliant shop.
Sounds of the Universe, such a good shop. And even the stuff they're doing now, the compilations that they're still doing are still really interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm always tempted. But
that's a classic one.
Yeah, that's why I dragged it out, because it's a regular here. But
your sleeve's in better condition than mine. Mine's pretty tatty.
Yeah, it is a little bit knackered. I haven't massively looked after it, but as the way
it's warped.
Is it? Oh, maybe the world is warped. But the other thing I've got from Vital, and I wonder if you've got, I've got 3 of them, although I could only find 2, and you can see why I can only find 2, judged by the care I've held. This one is the Avalanches. Remember the Avalanches?
Yes. Yeah. Now I've got 2 of the two gold discs up in the loft. One's a Badly Drawn Boy one, and one, what's the other one? I think the other one is a Moby one.
It is, because that's the one I've got. So
yeah, but I don't have that. I don't have that one.
Yeah, so that's the state I kept it in.
Yeah, mine's in the loft. They've never seen the light of day. They were in the shed in North London for about 15 years, and they went straight, when I moved here, they went straight up into the loft. So.
This has been in our garage since 2001, which is about the year I got given.
It's kind of like, they're pretty pointless, aren't they? What do you do with them?
We can't even sell them. They've got your name on them.
Got your name on them, I know.
But here's Moby. Look, I could find this one.
I've got that one, yeah.
And it's the CD. It's not like a record would be classic, right?
I don't think, did we? That was the time when records weren't really coming out, though, was it? A lot of things were on CD then.
Right. I don't know. CD Stum 172, though. I know that much. But yeah. Yeah. Absolute nightmare. So I got 3 of them.
There's Money 101 mute.
So before Vital, tell us about that then. Go back to the beginning and work forward.
Well, I worked at Our Price, if you remember them, in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then I worked in an independent record shop in Reading, which was run by myself and 2 friends, called Green River Records.
Named after the band or the serial killer?
Serial killer.
Oh, beautiful.
Kind of, yeah. That used to confuse a lot of people because they assumed it was after the band, but actually it wasn't, because we were a little bit before. We were around the same. We were just before them actually, so it was a bit annoying. We had a shop in Reading and a shop in Guildford on the Cowley Road, which was quite cool. Used to have lots of people like Supergrass used to hang out in there and stuff, and Radiohead, and the Reading shop was the main shop. And I worked there for a couple of years before I then went to work at Vital. Right. So yeah, so sort of good independent. It's not there anymore, but it was kind of, at the time when Reading had at the time 3 Our Prices, a Virgin, 2 HMVs, and us.
Right.
So quite a big shop, record shop town.
Mm.
So,
yeah. So, are you from there then?
No, I just move around, places.
Okay.
So big.
We'll keep it secretive. That's fine.
Yeah, it's a secret.
No, that's no. I'm happy with that. That makes this better.
No, I grew up in Australia, but only in my teens. But then came back.
Oh, right,
so,
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I have a lot of. That's hence I have a love for a lot of Australian music.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good stuff.
The good stuff, and the good stuff is.
Well, anything obviously that Nick Cave touches is,
Right.
Boys Next Door. Now I can't think. There's a really good compilation. If anyone doesn't know any good Australian music, called Do the Bop, which Simon Keeler from Forte Music put together a couple of years ago, and that's a phenomenal compilation of stuff. It's got things like the Lime Spiders on it. I can't think off the top of my head now.
Yeah,
but it's
he likes
a really
that.
good compilation.
He likes that band God, right? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, that's right, Australian band God. But like stuff like Radio Birdman and all those, sort of brilliant bands that sort of sound like the Stooges, but because they're Australian, no one really pays much attention.
Yeah. But he's on an episode about 3 or 4 or 5. Oh,
good. I'm glad he's agreed to do one.
He did. Yeah, he did it, and he did talk about Australia.
Simon's he's like an encyclopedia of. He's so knowledgeable.
Yeah.
He's a bit like Jimmy, kind of, very interesting man. And Forte Distribution is a great company.
Yeah, nice guy. I'd never spoken to him before, but we did.
Okay, well, I'm glad you've done. That's cool.
Yeah. Anyhow, we're not here to talk about.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. But so you went to Vital, but you mentioned that you'd worked for the Rotters Golf Club and.
Yeah, after I left Vital. I can't remember how many years I was there, but it was quite a lot. I went to work for Rotters Golf Club and Digital Hardcore, which were in the same building.
Right.
Because they were Andrew Weatherall was managed by the same person that managed Alec Empire.
Right. Okay.
So I worked with Andrew Weatherall and Keith Tenniswood on a lot of Two Lone Swordsmen stuff. Andrew was a really, really inspirational person to work with. He was very. I'm still really sad that he's no longer with us, but he was very great to talk about music with. He was so, his range of knowledge was incredible. Not just electronic music, but everything else, I remember when I first heard Om, and I played him some Om, we listened to the Om album and stuff like Wooden Ships and stuff like those sorts of bands, which I actually ended up later on working with at Thrill Jockey, and he did a remix for them later on, so sort of years later. But then I also used to work for Digital Hardcore Recordings, which is Alec Empire's label, which is obviously Atari Teenage Riot and all the bands that kind of are encompassed with that, which was a very big learning curve.
Right, okay. Go on.
Just noise bands in general at that time, they're based in Berlin, and obviously, I was lucky enough to go to Japan with them. Wow. To Fuji Festival, and just lots of really good opportunities. And then I left there to go and work at Thrill Jockey, which I was at for 11 years. So,
wow. Yeah. Because here's a Thrill Jockey release then, and this is one that I'm hesitant to mention, but I don't think anyone from my work will watch these things. But I had to bunk a day off work to do this. This was that Wreckmaster Harmonies.
Oh, Wreckmaster Harmonies, yeah, the show that you did for us at Stale Space.
Yeah, so I guess you, but he asked for like some quote unquote musicians to play.
He wanted to do a show, and he wanted me to put together a group of musicians for him to do an improvisational piece within the space. So that's what I did. I just picked up the phone and begged.
Yeah. Was it?
It was very interesting.
Yeah.
It worked really well, and I remember just with Alex Tucker doing the cello was a really nice addition.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Mark. That's a great record.
Yeah. Who else was in it? Mark Cove played drums, right?
That's right.
That's not his
I think Matt Ridout played guitar.
Shit, yes. Yeah,
it was. I mean, dream team.
Look at that. There's some space usage.
Yeah, it's quite weird because Simon Fowler did the artwork for that,
Yeah.
I believe, the cover. Does
Yeah.
it say? Yeah, it's a Simon Fowler artwork piece. He's a great artist, and yeah, but I don't understand why we did gatefold and there was nothing in the middle. But what do I,
What do you know about art?
I know nothing. The artist it's always their choice. So
yeah. But that was good. I said to you that I'm happy to do it, but I can't promote it online because I need to take a day off work.
What a day though! It was something we just kind of slung it together and it worked.
It was good fun. Yeah. And it was in the Thrill Jockey office, right?
Yeah, we used to, at that time we were in a place called Stour Space in Hackney Wick. Right. Which was an art gallery with offices above it. So it's like a sort of communal, we had a cafe and a gallery, and then lots of other creative people within the space worked in there. And we had our office in there.
Yeah.
Right on the canal opposite the Olympic Stadium.
Yeah, God, that's the first and only time I've ever been there.
Yeah, it's horrendous.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, big blot. So then you were at Thrill Jockey for
11 years, and I decided to go freelance because I wanted to work more the live side of things, because that was where I was becoming more interested, doing sort of tour managing, band managing, and doing sort of stage managing and stuff, and that's kind of then what I've been doing for the last 3 years.
Awesome. And what does that entail?
Yeah, I don't know. No, just it's a lot of organising, sort of. Obviously tours, you know what that entails, but stuff like advancing shows for promoters. So and working at festivals, so booking everything in advance, being there for load-in. You're just sort of the artist liaison from day one and on the show day. So then for festivals it's a bigger job, but shows it's obviously depending on the show. Yeah. So I've worked, the last sort of obviously not last year because I did nothing. But the last the 2 years before that, I worked with some amazing bands that were, Ministry. I did the Ministry show at Shepherd's Bush Empire. Big shows in Brixton, with sort of hardcore bands like Gorilla Biscuits and Sick of It All on an all-dayer.
Awesome.
Punk bands in Camden on an all-dayer at the Electric Ballroom, living the dream. And then working with sort of like, other just different artists. I had to look after Altered Images for a night. Very strange. So sort of you kind of, and then obviously we were still working with a couple of. Thrill Jockey bands. I've done a couple of body shows, White Hills, of course, who are very good friends of mine, and just Oozing Wound, who are also on Thrill Jockey, who I love. Yeah. So just sort of it's sort of nice that you do the same. Sometimes American bands come back and they like to have the same person that they know, so it's sort of easy.
Yeah. So I see pictures of you with White Hills, and you look like you're in the band. It's awesome.
Really?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, I've known White Hills for a really long time. Dave and Linnea are really good. They actually stay at my house quite a lot. We used to stay at my house quite a lot when they were in London. So I usually just sort of give them the keys and go and stay with, my partner. So, but yeah, they're really, really good, cool people. We sort of we sort of all DJ'd together at Supersonic last year before, and that was
saw you there.
Yeah. Yeah, so just sort of, Lisa always invites me to DJ, and I sort of, and we did like the Lexington the night before. We DJ'd at Lexington the night before and sort of got a bit tipsy, and we're very hungover trip to Birmingham the next morning on the train. But always fun band to be around, and so, so it's such hard-working band, which is nice, because so many bands expect some things, to just fall on their laps. But if there was a band that deserved it, it would be White Hills, because they work their asses off.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I think I saw them with Pontiac.
Yes, yeah, another great Thrill Jockey band.
Exactly, and that was in Birmingham as well, weirdly. Yeah. But I think the same about Pontiac, that they deserve stuff. They seem to put a shift in.
They're so good. Yeah. So remember them playing at Desert Festival 3 years ago, and it was just they played at the Electric Ballroom stage, and they were just phenomenal.
Right.
It was just it was so good.
Yeah, their music just flows so nice. I don't know
and
what
I think it is that thing, the fact that they're brothers, they have that harmonic. Yeah. There's definitely something in that.
Yeah,
And
visually.
they're almost telepathic as well. You know, they all sort of know each other, what each other's thinking. It's quite funny.
Visually, it's so weird watching them because it's just
yeah, because they all look the same. Yeah. They're very different people. They're all very different characters, though, but they're lovely. They're a great band. Great band. I don't think they're doing anything at the moment.
Right. Okay. I'm sure. So let's talk about records then.
All right.
I'll ask you, and then you'll show.
Okay.
Give me the record from your favourite record shop.
Okay, this is an easy one.
Is that flashback sticker? Yeah.
It's a flashback sticker.
Yeah.
And I'm cheating because I'm doing this under the bargain one as well, because I paid the bargain price of £3.99 for this.
Whoa.
So Flashback is one of my favourite shops. Essex Road one. I spent quite a lot of time in there. Mark, who runs it, is a great guy, and so it's good for. I think it's good for a good old rummage with stuff like. I mean, I've probably got this. I've got a few versions of this, but because it was £3.99, I had to buy it.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations. But I do have another good buy as well. But so I think Flashback is probably. I'd probably say it's my favourite record shop in London. It's the one I go to the most if I'm going to go record shopping. I seem to spend more time in there.
Right. So. Yeah. Because how many Flashbacks are there?
I think there are 3 now. 3. I don't really know the others. I know. Well, there's one in Crouch End, which I never really went to, even though it was open when I lived in Highgate. But and there's the new one in Shoreditch, isn't there? But I think I've only been there once.
Right.
Jimmy would be the encyclopedia of that.
I have a feeling that he works in the Shoreditch one.
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. To be honest, I've only ever been to the Essex Road one, and I've not lived in London now for so long that everything's changed. So
it's such a great shop. It's kind of the right amount of grubbiness, but everything's really well, well sort of filed, and it's not too clinical, but it's also there isn't piles of shit everywhere. So and you can always find a bargain, and I think their prices are really reasonable.
Yeah, and they're just off the beaten track as well, aren't they? It's kind of weird. And
there's a really good vintage shop next door called Past Caring, so you can kind of do the two,
Right. What's vintage?
Vintage furniture.
Oh, vintage furniture.
Furniture shop, and then there's so you can my two habits.
All right, okay there. I might not go to the. I'll leave you to go to the vintage furniture shop.
Yeah. I always go to Flashback first, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Takes priority. That's it. It's kind of like an obvious one, but I just kind of thought because it still had the Flashback sticker on it.
Yeah. And what about shops when you were young?
Oh God. When I lived in Australia, I used to get stuff from Rocking Horse in Brisbane.
Is that where you live, Brisbane?
No. I lived in North Queensland, so I used to have to get stuff posted in those days. Right. I used to get Sounds and Melody Maker, and because the post was so behind, I used to get 2 weeks' worth in 1 week. So I was constantly 2 weeks behind, so I'd obsessively be reading stuff, and then I'd phone up and get and order stuff, and then they'd ship it to me.
I've been to Rocking Horse. I've been there. Yeah. My brother lives there. So yeah,
it was a good shop. I don't know if it's still there. I haven't been to Brisbane for quite a while.
Well,
so.
Yeah, it was 2 or 3 or 4 years ago because.
Yeah. But just a nice shop, and they were just really good in the 80s. I remember that was where I used to get stuff from, because obviously the internet didn't exist then. You used to have to pick up the phone and give them a list, send them a check.
Send actual money or a postal order. We used to send postal orders.
Postal order and then wait, Yeah.
What the hell is a postal order?
I don't know. I don't know. It's like gift vouchers. It's just the whole thing is weird.
Yeah. Did you have to go to the post office to get them? Was that the deal?
I don't know. Don't you? You should know that.
Well, yeah. Not now. They don't exist now, do they? I don't know anything about them. I think I joined the Beano Club with a postal order of 45p.
Yeah, those kind of things. Yeah, it's the same thing. You used to get stuff sent. I remember. Yeah, fun times. And then you just have to wait for things. It was instant.
What a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because now, like, I can order stuff. You can order stuff at like midnight, and it can be here the next day. Like a record can turn up like 8 hours later.
I know. I know, it's amazing, isn't it?
I don't know if it's good or not. Is that good?
I think, I don't know, it does make everything a bit instant, doesn't it? Which then makes it a bit disposable.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it depends. It depends
Yeah.
how old you are.
Yeah, maybe. I
If
think.
you're a teenager, it's a bad thing. If you're an old person, it's probably good.
Yeah, but I think the thrill now is just the buying rather than the getting. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but then I still have that excitement of when I get a new piece of vinyl, and especially if it's a gatefold and the first creak when it first opens,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
first, and
Yeah.
that's,
Have I got one of them here?
you know,
Yeah,
if
I've
you,
got. No, it doesn't do it. This is actually.
no,
I've got this is one of my favourite Thrill Jockey records.
oh, Trans Am, yeah, Red Line's a good album.
Oh, yeah, I love this record. But
But
yeah, gatefold. But
the first time you open a gatefold and it creaks, you've done
yeah,
it. You've lost your creak.
the creak has long gone. But this was back when Thrill Jockey put things on the inside of gatefold sleeves.
I think they do too. There are. I think you picked one particular minimal piece of art.
Yeah, I know. This is one of my favourites actually.
But yeah, so you know, there's still that excitement of getting stuff. So yeah, I still like it. I still like the, you know, that smell of. Yeah, if you could bottle it.
Okay, record with memories then. On that note.
Okay.
Oh, I picked out the DC especially for you as a backdrop record. Yeah.
This record is what, their fifth album. It's just it's my go-to AC/DC album, regardless whether I'm happy, sad. I defy anyone to not put this on and smile, because it's, you know, proper balls to the wall rock and roll. It's a proper record.
Yeah.
And I think it's the first one that Cliff Williams is on. Fifth studio album. Yeah, came out in 1978. But yeah. So that's my kind of, you know, my go-to. I have quite a few versions of it, but I just pulled out the cleanest looking one. But it is an Albert Productions one. It is an Australian one. So there are a couple of different versions, because there are two releases where they replaced Rock and Roll Damnation with Cold Hearted Man, because Rock and Roll Damnation wasn't ready. So there are different versions of it.
Right. Yeah. This is something that's coming up a lot. Different versions of albums. It's so weird. Like track listings being different.
The New Zealand version has this in blue.
Why?
I don't know, but I want one.
I bet you do.
Yeah, for no reason. Yeah.
Have you seen them?
I mean, I've only ever seen them twice, and they were once was at Wembley, which was the last gig they did actually, but I didn't go to the one at the Olympic Stadium, because obviously Axl Rose is a misogynist arsehole, and I didn't want to see him doing that, so I didn't go to that show. I saw the last proper show, which was at Wembley, but then I was fortunate enough to go to, you know, remember when Hammersmith Odeon reopened and they did a week of gigs where they sold tickets for like £5 or £10 or whatever?
Okay. I
managed to get tickets to that.
Wow.
And yeah, and I was just crying the whole time and stood on my seat. So, you know, yeah, they had the bells, the cannons, you know, they don't disappoint.
No. I've seen them once at Wembley Arena on what's that album, that like the gold sleeve album from about 20 years ago? What's that called?
Which gold sleeve album?
Is it gold? God damn! It's about 20 years ago I saw them at Wembley Arena on that tour, whatever tour that was. Like,
yeah, and, I mean, I saw, to be honest, anything past Back in Black, I'm a bit.
Yeah, same.
A bit ropey on, but
I always enjoy the albums, but
yeah, there's always one or two, but then that's sort of like you can tell, but it's just, I don't know, it's not Bon Scott, is it? So.
Oh yeah, Brian Johnson's all right.
Oh, you said that in a high-pitched, squeaky, no one's going to believe you way.
I know. I got halfway through saying it, I thought, I don't know. No, he's good. I think when the singer dies, you can replace legally, right? Like.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So.
But the thing about Bon Scott is he was such a phenomenal frontman and just such and even his lyrics are just so tongue-in-cheek, and you just watch any videos of him and you can tell the man's drunk, of course, but you just can't not smile.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he does. Larry is looking particularly awesome.
And also there's something a little bit sexy about him.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know.
Look at Angus.
People don't make records like this anymore, and they should. That's all.
Yeah, well, actually, I had this. What did you think of this band at the time?
I loved The Cult, and that album was my favourite, one of my favourite albums at the time. It's Rick Rubin produced that, didn't he? But basically, it's an AC/DC record. I mean,
Exactly.
even the opening riff for what's the Love Removal Machine is basically an AC/DC riff. You could probably play them together, and it would, you know. But it's a great record, and obviously Rick Rubin did an amazing job with them.
Yeah. Weird, isn't it? They're like the way they went from like goth to this, and then Sonic Temple and whatnot.
But then the first album, I mean, wasn't really a massive Southern Death Cult fan, but I think Love is a great record.
Yeah.
I saw them play a couple of times on that tour, and they were amazing.
On that tour?
No, I saw them do when they did the Love tour.
Oh,
I was a young person.
But anyhow, so like bands should do records like AC/DC, and they occasionally do. But that was
the Cult do. Yeah, but I mean, I still stick that on. I still play that, and when I DJ, you stick on any Cult record, and you can guarantee, you know, the room will erupt.
Certain age group will kick back their Zimmer frames and make it to the dance floor.
How dare you?
I include myself.
Yeah. But Ian Astbury, again, a great front person, you know, even with the ego, you know, still quite charismatic on stage.
Yeah, what did he call himself? Like Wolfman or something?
Child or something. So just like, please, you know. If you want the music press to take the piss out of you, carry on.
But yeah, okay, yeah, bargain find, although you, yeah.
Okay, well, this is the theme here. This is, and I promise this is the last one of this. And the reason I pulled this out was because, can you see this sticker?
I can see the sticker. RSPCA, okay. £3.
Yeah, at the RSPCA shop in Stoke Newington. And obviously I have it already. I bought it about 5 years ago, and it's an Atlantic pressing.
Yeah.
And I was quite excited when I saw it because I was like, oh, it's £3. And then the only reason I bought it was because it's made in Spain. So even though I have this album on, I think 4 or 5 different pressings, I don't have one that actually says at the bottom "Made in Spain," and I paid £3 for it.
What's the record that you've got the most copies of?
I think it's High Voltage because there's different covers, Australian versions, different.
Yeah. How many have you got of High Voltage?
About 10, 15. It's difficult because I've got the box sets as well. So do you include the ones that are in the box sets with the single versions that you buy? Also, the other thing is I cannot go, if I go to a charity shop and there's an AC/DC record, I have to buy it.
Right.
It's kind of it's a disease, isn't it?
It seems like one. Yeah.
I can't leave it there. I was very excited. I mean, it's pretty knackered. It plays all right. The sleeve's knackered, but I was just quite excited because it's Spanish. Yeah. And I paid £3 for it, so that was my bargain.
No, well, it's definitely a bargain. Yeah, no, I get it. I probably would have bought it. Yeah,
you would, even if you have it for £3, you're not going to leave it there, are you?
I've got a for no reason at all. I've got a Greek version of the White Album.
There you go.
And it's got a lot of Greek words on it. Yeah, no version of the White Album, but yeah, it's got loads of Greek words on it. So I was like,
exactly.
So not only is it Greek, but I can't read it.
No, it's just Greek. It's all Greek.
Yeah. So.
Right. Just making sure I got all my bits in place.
Do you dig through charity shops still?
Yes. yeah, I can't. It's really. I have tried to go into a charity shop and not look at the records, but there's that just what if.
Yeah. And how disappointing is it more often than not, though?
Well, there's always a lot of country records, like bad, not stuff country, not necessarily bad, but not country that I would like
Yeah.
particularly. Yeah, just weird and sort of comedy records and things, and sort of classical, but not good, not classical that you would want.
No.
So,
Okay. Enormous classical box sets.
yeah, and just really, really weird, just strange children's things that aren't cool, and just sometimes you do find the odd thing, but it's been that's probably the last time I bought a good record in a charity shop, to be honest.
Yeah,
because I think they've been ravaged.
Yes, and they're expensive. They're not that cheap anymore either, which is a topic that's coming up a lot. But they're not that cheap. So in fact, in the what's the charity shop that is the blood related one, whatever that is.
Heart Foundation.
Heart Foundation, yeah, that one. That's where the blood goes, right? In the Heart Foundation one, there's a Fine Young Cannibals 12-inch for £14.
Wow!
Like not even the album. Yeah, and it's been there when during the lockdown it closed and then it opened up again, and I go in and it's just, of course, it's just still there. It's just I feel like
that's just weird. You should just maybe tell them that it's not an album, and it's not a band that's particularly good. So maybe they should sell it for £2.
Yeah, £2, and I still won't buy it. But yeah.
Wow. Yeah, but then there are other shops. There are other Oxfams. Like there's an Oxfam in Reading, and an Oxfam record one in Reading, and it's a really good shop. But everything's priced as
book price or whatever.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, there's one in Wells. We live near a city, I say loosely, called Wells. And they've got an Oxfam there that's music and books.
Yeah, that's what this is. But nothing is cheap in there. It's like a record shop, basically.
Yeah. A record shop, but in bad condition.
Yeah.
So my next one is bought on tour. Before we do that though, what sort of tours have you done? Like, have you?
Well, sort of the tour. Well, it's difficult, isn't it? I don't do tours really. I kind of sort of organise them and then don't go. I did do. I toured with Alec Empire in Japan. That was a while ago. I've done a few bits and pieces of different bands in Europe. But with Thrill Jockey, I used to go to Chicago and sort of various places if we had an event. And so what I picked was a record that I bought in Baltimore.
Awesome.
When I was in Baltimore for the 16th anniversary, because we did a bunch of shows in Baltimore and then a bunch of shows in New York. Okay. And I was there for that week. So I'd never been to Baltimore before. I would like to not ever go there again. The shows were great, and obviously there's quite a lot of good bands from Baltimore. It's a good music scene. And I went to this little record shop and bought this. And I can't remember how many years ago it is. It's got to be 16. They've got to be 20, maybe 5-10 years ago. It's by a band called Nautical Almanac.
Oh, cool! Don't know that.
And basically, it's Twig Harper. Now, Daniel Higgs recommended this to me because he did a record with Twig Harper on Thrill Jockey. And obviously he's a Baltimore person. And this guy, Twig Harper, he's sort of like, it's a really experimental kind of noise, sort of weird sort of mix of electronics and stuff. I only paid $12 for it. And found it in this tiny little record shop, which had some great Lungfish and some other stuff that I picked up. But because Daniel had recommended it, I was sort of thought, well, I'll get it. And then I was sort of reading up about Twig Harper, and he used to have a squat in Baltimore that was like a warehouse, and they used to do warehouse parties, and people like Lightning Bolt used to play there, so it kind of makes sense. It's part of that whole noise scene. So that's my on tour record.
Oh, it looks lovely as well.
Yeah, it is a really good. It's a bit, first listen's a bit whoa, but yeah, they're not around anymore. But the warehouse that they used to do the stuff in, I think it was called the Tarantula Building or something. Okay. That's what their warehouse was called. And they used to do like free parties and stuff. So
right,
pretty cool people.
Yes.
So kind of kind of sort of reminiscent of a lot of the noise sort of stuff that's happening, you know, around in London, I guess, at the moment with bands like Casual Nun and
Mm.
Luminous Bodies, and, you know, sort of all the different stuff that all of those guys are doing. It's not, you know,
Mm. Yeah.
not as
So,
rock, a bit more noisy, but
yeah. So Thrill Jockey's Chicago though, right?
yes,
But they
yes.
were doing shows in Baltimore.
Because we had bands from
Mm.
Baltimore, so
Right.
they were playing. I think it was when Future Islands were on the label,
Yeah.
and they were obviously from Baltimore, so they were doing a headline show, and we sort of did the shows around that. So it was quite, yeah, it was a lot of there was a lot of bands playing. I can't remember them all, but
Mm.
probably
Yeah.
should.
I've never been to Baltimore
No,
apart from watching Wire. That's
yeah.
my.
So I'd never seen The Wire, and I
Yeah.
still haven't. I don't want to watch it now because I've been there.
You've been there.
But I didn't. I mean, I enjoyed the show, and I enjoyed sort of snooping around. But there was parts of it that I didn't feel safe at all, and it wasn't a very nice place to be.
No. Right. Okay. Yeah. Mm. Total bummer.
Yeah.
So,
So then we
Daniel.
went to New York.
Sorry, go on.
Then we went to New York, and that was fine.
Yeah, of course. And what venue was it in New York?
Wigmore Hall,
Right.
which
Nice.
is a beautiful, beautiful theatre. And I think Tortoise were headlining that night, so yeah, it was fun.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Been getting into just as an aside, I've been getting into Jeff Parker's solo stuff from tours.
He's an amazing musician. His jazz stuff, he's phenomenal. He's such a nice guy as well.
Yeah.
But he's so mellow. I mean, he's so, you know.
You can hear it in his playing that he's mellow. You can hear it.
Yeah, he's super mellow. He's very talented. I think all of the guys in Tortoise are particularly talented musicians. I think they're, you know, they all sort of come from that, you know, sort of almost jazz, but not, you know, they're just interesting. I think Jeff, I think both. I can't speak today. I think both drummers are phenomenal, John and John. And obviously John's got Soma Studios now, hasn't he? So he sort of records and does stuff now. And yeah, that Doug was who I was thinking of. Yeah, they're all just, I think, and all their side, you know, their offshoots like Isotope, and you know, there's a couple of offshoots on Thrill Jockey that they were sort of involved in, and I just think they're an interesting band. And I think I've only seen one bad Tortoise show.
Right. Okay.
So,
tell us about that one.
No, but generally they're phenomenal.
Yeah. No, I've just been getting into the Jeff Parker solo stuff on that International Anthem label. I think it's really excellent.
Yeah.
I think it's a Chicago label.
Yeah, it's they're doing some nice stuff.
Yeah. Looks good as well. It looks like a proper label to me.
It's a grown up one.
Yeah. Okay. A record that people wouldn't think that you would dig.
Okay. So this is actually my favourite record of all time.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Unfortunately, this is a repress, not the 1960 original.
Right.
Which my dad has, but he keeps telling me that I've stolen his copy, but I haven't. This is a reissue. I just think, is probably the most beautiful piece of music ever recorded.
Right.
Sound-wise, because it's so perfect.
Yeah.
And you can hear every instrument in I don't know how they did it, because it was pretty much done, I think, most of it live, and they just did it and recorded it. And I think this is the album that he did after Kind of Blue, which kind of sort of freaked people out a bit. But yeah, that's my. Yeah, it reminds me of my dad. My dad's a jazz musician, so I kind of grew up in that world.
Cool.
And I can put that on and just go straight back to my childhood. And but it is my favourite album. But yeah, I think that would probably surprise a lot of people. No,
it does surprise me a little bit. I mean, it shouldn't. Like, why would it? But
yeah, I mean, it's filed next to municipal waste, you know.
Yeah, where's M? Well, no, it should be D, right? Miles Davis.
I stuck it in the thrash section. Yeah.
Do you like other jazz things in particular?
I do. I like a lot of jazz female vocalists. Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan. Some of it I find it gets a bit much sometimes if there's too much going on. But I do like a lot. Miles Davis, I think particularly. I like a lot of jazz drummers, although that's not really something you have on record. It's kind of like you sort of see them do live stuff.
Yeah.
There's a really good documentary on iPlayer at the moment about Ronnie Scott's, and there's a lot of interesting artists on that, which you sort of, you know, it goes right back, and it's quite interesting. I was watching that falling asleep the other day, but yeah, I know a lot of people don't like to say, oh, I don't like jazz, but it's kind of like, that's sort of like a weird thing to say, because it is kind of like the basis of a lot of things, like blues, jazz. Yeah. You know, it's a natural progression, isn't it, to stuff that, you know, to rock and roll, you know, which is basically blues.
You said it, yeah, you said it yourself. It's only really one step away from Millions Now Living by Tortoise. I
think yeah, exactly. You know, you just have to listen with different ears. But to me, that album is so perfect. You know, it's sound and musically, it's just beautiful. It's like a, you know, just instant.
Yeah. It's amazing that they did most of those classic records were recorded just in like 24 hours.
I know, and I think they just did it. And this one was arranged by Gil Evans, and it just, you know, and he conducted it and everything. And I think they just went in and did it. I mean, can you imagine doing that with that amount of that orchestra? I mean, there's you look at the list of people playing on that record, and it's like a who's who of anybody, and they just all sat in a room and did it.
Yeah, they can play like hell, can't they? That's the difference.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that was my surprise record.
Yeah, it's a good choice. It's a great record.
You don't have it. Do you surely you have this?
Of course, yeah, I do. I say of course, but I do. I don't have lots of Miles Davis, but I do have that. I do have.
Yeah.
There's a couple I want to get. My favourite at the minute is On the Corner, actually.
That's a nice album.
I'm really liking that. Yeah, it's kind of. I don't even know how to describe it, because it's just kind of.
Jazz, it's one of those things, isn't it? Jazz is sort of like you have to be kind of in the mood to listen to it, and sometimes if you're in the mood, you can dip in, dip out. You know, you can put it on and then listen to, like, you know, something really noisy, and it still really works.
Yeah.
You can sort of dip. You don't need to just listen to jazz. I mean, you shouldn't just listen to one sort of music anyway, but you know, you can listen to lots of, you know, types of music, and I always think if you can do that, then your ears are always going to be better.
Yeah, I was a previous episode that hasn't gone up yet, but will have gone up by the time this episode goes up, is with Valentina. And obviously
she's a great drummer.
Well, one of the best, like in Europe or whatever. You know, like she's really
a brilliant drummer, and so humble, such a nice person as well.
Yeah. So she talks about, well, we talk a lot about jazz drummers, and my favorite jazz records are probably the ones that are led by the drummers.
Okay, that's interesting.
They're like Elvin Jones type ones, where it's the drummer is in charge, and I think you can hear it.
Yeah.
And like for me, it's really, she knows. Valentina knows 100 times more than I do on that sort of subject, so it's really interesting talking to her about it.
Yeah, I bet. Way more interesting than me blabbering on about.
Absolutely no, but no. Not what I said. Don't be like that. That's not what I said. I said me.
She's a very knowledgeable lady, and very, very good at her craft. Definitely.
Yeah. She's one of the people that deserves to make a living from it.
I think so. Definitely, she should.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's my next question?
10-inch. Favorite 10-inch or thoughts on the subject, especially as a record label person.
It's the worst format.
Okay.
When I worked in record shops, it's just like you get 10 inches. It's like, where do you put them? They don't fit in the racks. They're just annoying. They get lost. I sort of opened, so I've got records over there, and I had some down here, and I sort of opened the 7-inch cabinet and was just like, where are my 10 inches? And I realised I hadn't unpacked them, and I've been here for 5 months. That tells you something. So I went upstairs, found there's a couple of record boxes upstairs in the spare room, and I was just like, oh my God, where are my 10 inches? Have I lost them? Not that I really cared, but for a split second I was like, and then I remembered where they were, and I was like, oh yeah, I haven't unpacked those, and it's been 5 months this week, so that's a bit telling. So I had a look through them, and I thought, I've got far too many Killing Joke 10 inches. I mean, I've got a lot of Killing Joke records, which is fine because I love Killing Joke, but why have I got Killing Joke 10 inches? I don't know. It's a mystery. But then I did pull this out, which is a 2 Peel Sessions compilation.
Oh, cool.
Which was from the shop that I used to work in, and it's limited because it's been hand painted. That's been scribbled on by one of the artists.
Oh yeah.
Now it's got two sides. Excuse me. It's got like sort of like it's like a four-sided thing. So side one is Faith Healers, who are fine. Then it's got some Stereo Lab, and then it's got 4 PJ Harvey tracks on it. So I always thought that was a really interesting 10-inch because it's not just one, it's kind of like a mini album. Yeah. So I'm cheating here.
No, that's cool.
But it is 10 inches.
Yeah. So it was Strange Fruit. That's what that is. They released all those pills.
Yeah, so it's on Strange Fruit. It was called 2 Pure Pill Sessions. Let me see if it's got a date on here. I've got my glasses on. Such an old lady.
It's got to be like 91, 92.
It's 91. Yeah. And I quite like the fact that it's been sort of like hand scribbled on and hand. I mean, it's probably worth money. It's probably not because it's a 10-inch, but yeah, I sort of cheated because it's kind of a mini album, but on the 10-inch format.
No, it's nice. No, it's good. Yeah. Someone else dragged out the last Fall album. The last Fall album was a double 10-inch.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I just looked through and I was just like, well, I've got 5 Killing Joke 10-inches. I don't think I've ever played them. Just
like singles with one song aside or whatever.
Yeah. I was going to have a look, but I can't remember. But I mean, they're all really nicely packaged. I think that's probably why I got them. But, you know, because it was one of those days when, you know, I sort of do it now sometimes when you bought every format of everything. Yeah. Which I sort of know Jimmy Martin talked about. And I was like nodding like, yeah, cassette, the 12-inch, you know. So, yeah, I think it was from those days when you just sort of like, oh, there's a 10-inch, I've got to have that, you know.
Yeah, no, that's because they're a different remix or a live version of something.
Yeah,
and then
never.
Yeah, and then after a few years, you think live stuff isn't very good. Like,
no.
Yeah, no. I listen to the radio a lot at work, like Radio 1 or whatever. Back, I know, right? I'm driving in a van, right? So I'm normally I've got Kiss on, but so I'm just driving in a work van, like, you know, at work, and so I don't have much choice. I've got FM choice. So sometimes I'm listening to Radio 1, and it was back when gigs were happening. They would have the Radio 1 live show or whatever else. And for about a month after, they go, we've got a special treat for you now. It's like Oasis live at whatever, something. And they put it on and go, well, this just isn't as good as the original. Like, it's just not as good. Why not play the proper version?
It's always ropey, isn't it? It's always that dreaded, oh, shall we release it? I think people used to do it to get out of their record deals, didn't they? Because if you're kind of tied into a record contract for 5 or 6 albums over your lifespan, the quickest way to get out of one is, rather than do a new album, is release a live record, and boom, there you go, you're relinquished from your contract.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that people do that, but I would.
Live record, best of Metal Machine Music, the Lou Reed album. We're out.
The contract. There you go. Exactly. You know, I do think that's how that happens sometimes.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're speaking from experience, I think.
I am.
Yeah.
Not experience, you know, it's knowledge.
So, have you got any other records you want to show there?
I wanted to. I pulled out 2 that I was sort of bought last year before, which is Fountain Sun on this label. What's the label called? Gnome Life Records. And they're 2 records that I sort of stumbled across by accident, and it's actually Daniel Higgs and his wife, Fume.
Oh, shit.
And they're amazing. And I just like, I don't know if you can see the sleeve of this one. Look at what he's wearing. Can you see that?
Yeah. What is happening there?
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Not tie-dye for Mr. Higgs there. But it's just sort of like he's playing sort of like interesting, you know, stuff, like he did like his solo stuff, you know, he's playing like sort of quite a lot of interesting instruments like the Juice harp and the, you know, like he does live, and he's just an interesting person, and they're just both really, really good records, and I just picked them up on Discogs, and I just wondered if you'd...
I don't know them. Hold up.
Lungfish fan, or?
I'm a massive Lungfish fan. So
it's called Fountain Sun.
Yeah.
That's one of them. It's on Gnome Life Records, which is an American label out of California. And that's all they've had is these 2 releases. But I can highly recommend them.
Awesome.
Just yeah, and that's his wife with him. So it's just quite interesting. Yeah, I just think everything he does is interesting. He's in a very,
Yeah, I've got.
the releases on Thrill Jockey were all really good. Say God was a great record. But I think it's just a small label and they just did limited runs and it was just like, oh.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, that was a good find.
Yeah, no, I'm an enormous fan of his, and he played Supersonic, didn't he, last year, but 2019. Yeah,
he's played twice there actually.
yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I spoke with a couple of episodes ago. Again, I spoke with Lisa Mayer, and she was talking about picking him up from the train station and whatnot, and him not having a mobile phone and all this sort of stuff.
He doesn't do. He doesn't do. Well, he does have email, but he doesn't really look at it very much. He doesn't have a mobile. She actually, I had to look after him at that festival because he didn't have a mobile, and because he knows me, she was like, right, I'm just gonna, just so he knew if he knew someone he knew in case he needed anything. So I was sort of, his kind of not babysitter because he really doesn't need babysitting. But we hung out. I mean, we would have hung out anyway. But it was just quite funny. She was like, "Can you look after Daniel?" And I was like, "I don't think he needs looking after." But she's like, "He hasn't got a phone." And I was like, "He'll be where he needs to be on time. Trust me. He just does."
You need the toilet.
Yeah, can you imagine? No, but he is a lovely person. He's also very knowledgeable.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I can highly recommend those two records if you can.
No, I'm on the case for that. That sounds really good. Yeah.
Those out.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Have you got anything else you want to say? Have I got anything else I want to say?
I don't know. Was there anything else? I did pick up some other records that I thought. I mean, I didn't want to. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to not. I mean, Simon Keeler's on in a couple of weeks, but I didn't want to not mention this record, which I love.
Oh yeah, the Heads. Okay, cool.
The
Yeah.
Heads, which I think they're just reissued, aren't they? They're doing a reissue, aren't they? This is a remastered version of it. With 2012, this remaster. But I actually think it sounds better, the remaster. So I just because Simon's on, I'm sure he'll be plugging. But again, a band that I just think are so good, but never if they were an American, they would have been enormous.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah,
yeah.
But they're again a band that I really like seeing, and obviously it's been really good seeing Hugo play with Loop, and stuff, and that's kind of seems to me like an obvious marriage of. Is
it two of them in the Heads from the Heads in Loop now, or just?
Yeah, I think Paul and Hugo were both playing. I think the last time when I saw Loop last was at Nettle House. I think it was just Hugo. I can't remember. My brain is. But yeah, I think it might be Paul and Hugo. But they did an ATP, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah.
I wasn't sure if they. I think the Heads played as the Heads then. But I think Hugo might have played with Loop as well. But I could be wrong. It's basically they're just brilliant. They're a great live band, and they were just another record that I wanted to mention. But obviously, because you've got Simon Keeler coming.
No, I'm not sure. I can't remember how much I bring up the Heads. And I make it awkward for him because I hold up a record that he perhaps shouldn't have released on a record store day. And I could see the minute I held it up, I could see in his face, he was like, ooh, sort of thing.
Simon does what he wants and he does it well. So, and that's one of the things I like about him. He doesn't suffer fools.
No.
Which I also like about him.
Yeah, he suffered me for 3.5 hours.
You're not a fool. No, he just, because the music industry is very, it is a bubble and it can be, there's a lot of vacuous people, there's a lot of Machiavellian people, there's a lot of arseholes in it, and you know who the good ones are, and he's definitely one of the good ones.
Yeah. Well, we talked off air for over an hour about distribution people gossip. It was really excellent.
Yeah, of course, because he used to run cargo, didn't he? So
very juicy.
Yeah, and he likes a good gossip. He's a good,
And we should stop because we're still recording.
Oh, Simon. He is one of my favourite people, so it's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Any more you want to? You've got buried there.
I did pull out Hacks and Cloak record, which I love, and I obviously would. Which I just think is great. I remember buying this at ATP off Alison was doing the Southern Stall.
Is that the Latitudes one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Then parted to see And I think I was DJing at that festival,
Mm.
and I think I played it 3 times in between different bands because I just couldn't get enough of it because it's such a great, But yeah, I bought it and the only other thing I would be really remiss of me not to mention is one of my other favourite bands. This is one of my favourite albums. Of course, which I think people would just be expecting me to say, Dinosaur Jr., AC/DC, because, But yeah, You're Living All Over Me is a phenomenal record, which I still play quite a lot, actually. It's kind of, I put Wagon on the other day, and then I was just like, no, I need to put that on. When you have that sort of like, I'll just put it down there. It's always that one.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't heard the new album. They brought a new album out last week.
Oh, right, okay.
So
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's on Jaguar, so I probably need to have a look and see. But I could watch Joe Mascis open an envelope.
Yeah,
I love watching him play guitar. It's just like, what are you doing?
Have you seen that picture of him when he bought a VW car?
Yeah.
If anyone's not seen that, go and find it. It's really funny.
He just comes across as really dour, but I think he's actually quite funny.
He has to be, surely.
I've only met him once, and I really back. He really didn't want to meet me. It was one of those moments, and I was like, oh, and he was like that, hey,
yeah,
and that was it. I was like, oh, it's really nice to meet you, and hey.
My guess is
that was the end of our conversation.
Well, my guess is that's about as much as anyone gets from him.
That's what I mean, and I know people that have worked with him, and apparently that is kind of how he is. So, but I do think he's got quite a dark sense of humour underneath. Well, he has to have.
Surely.
But he's a brilliant guitarist. I mean, I saw him play. The Roundhouse was 2 years ago. Was the last show there, probably. Actually, wasn't working for a change. I went as a punter, and they were amazing. Yeah.
Do you still enjoy music then? It hasn't burnt.
Not working.
Yeah, it hasn't burnt you out, all this.
No, it hasn't. I mean, it's weird if I go to a show and I'm not working, and I'm sort of like, I sort of go into work mode a little bit, and I'm looking at things that are going wrong.
Yeah.
thinking, it's like you've got to sit on your hands. Don't say anything. It's not your show, But I do. Yeah, I love going to live. I've missed 14 months. Well, it's 14 months without any live gigs. It's been horrendous. It's kind of like it's what we all love the biggest part of it, isn't it? Record, they go hand in hand. You buy records, you want to go and see the band live. It's been, I think I've had tickets for Bauhaus. I think that's been rescheduled 3 times or something.
Oh.
At Alexandra Palace. It's like, I've never seen them. We got so excited when tickets went on sale. And me and my friend Inga, hi Inga. And, but that's been rescheduled 3 times. It's like, are they all going to die before the show? I don't know. They've got to be 1 million years old now.
That's certainly happened. It must have happened in this time, right?
Yeah, it must have. People must have shows. I mean, God, no one from Bauhaus died, please. But yeah, that's been rescheduled, I think, 3 or 4 times at Alexandra Palace. So yeah, I mean,
That's big. Alexandra Palace.
Sold out as well. But imagine them there. I think that'd be great. Yeah. I mean, I never saw them, so I kind of, for me, it was a bit kind of like, it was a no-brainer. So
yeah, that's like the whole reunion thing. For me, is good for bands that happened way before my time, but I don't want to see a band that I'd seen reformed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, I went to see the Cult when they did Electric at the Roundhouse a couple of years ago, and I have to admit I did go twice. Oh, yeah. And I really enjoyed it.
Right, okay.
But it was the Cult by numbers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was a bit kind of like, you guys have got a tax bill and you're paying to pay this. Do you know what I mean? It was a bit kind of like, but yeah, there's lots of bands that you kind of don't want to see. You just want to leave there.
Yeah.
But Bauhaus, I never saw them, so I would.
No.
I mean, it's like like the Sisters of Mercy. I remember seeing the Sisters of Mercy in the 80s, and it was great, but I never want to see them again. No,
well, this is it. I didn't want to see Slint when they reformed, for instance. But
really?
I did want to see the Stooges.
Yeah, well, I went to the Stooges shows, but then you didn't go. Presumably, you didn't go and see them in the 60s.
That's what I'm saying. That it's the bands that were way before my time. I would go and see Slint play again. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If it was at a sit-down venue and I was very comfortable.
You could definitely sleep.
In a comfy seat, not at Union Chapel where you're like that. It would have to be a nice big comfy seat to sit and watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah. Union Chapel, that's that big cold church in Highbury and Islington.
That's exactly it, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever played there?
Rain's played there, but
Yeah.
but the time I went there, it was for work. Actually, it was a Boards of Canada playback.
Ooh.
I know, like because they didn't do. It was just one of their albums, Geogaggy or whatever the hell that album was called, and we all trooped along to the Union Chapel and sat
very
there on
uncomfortable
benches, freezing, listening
freezing
to
cold.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Guapo play there, and they were, because I was working with them, and they did a great show. But I just remember you're just constantly cold. You kind of have to sit there in your coat and you're shivering and you're on this tiny little pew that isn't fit for, you wouldn't put a plant on it.
No, that's the thing with church. My experience of churches is that they are cold places in every sense, in every sense.
I mean, Wreckmeister Harmony did a show in the church, the one in Bethnal Green, and that was really good, but it was also freezing. They're they're horribly cold. And I remember seeing Skullflower play at somewhere in like around the back of where Helter Skelter used to be. What's that that place in Soho? What's the street with all the guitar shops on? I can't remember.
Denmark Street.
Denmark Street, the church there.
Oh yeah.
And that honestly, I think I came out of there blue. It was so cold. It was just But there is a certain thing about bands playing in a church. It does work really well. For Wreckmeister Harmonies, it was amazing.
Right.
But freezing.
Yeah.
I always would if anyone ever brings up a church in suggested venues, I always try and
unless it's in Bermuda.
yeah. Is it in Seychelles? No, it's in East London. I don't know. Let's do it in the Moth Club instead.
Yeah, please.
It's just I don't know. It's lots of church gigs, but there is something nice about them. But they kind of but they're not supposed to be comfortable places, are they? Because you're supposed to be paying attention.
You are, and you're supposed to be kneeling and then standing and then praying and then whatever else. Whole nightmare. So, what's the future for you? Let's assume the world's going back to normal.
Well, I'm doing some work for Quietus at the moment. That's what I've been doing during lockdown. They have a subscription series of music that they're putting out for people that sort of subscribe to their web news stuff, the top tier Sound and Vision subscription. So I'm putting, and it's sort of an Equinox sort of sessions where they put together artists that haven't worked together before. Right. So I'm organising all of that.
Awesome.
So I've been doing that. The next one, which I think I can probably say is going to be for the summer solstice, which is June the 21st, which is Alexander Tucker and Nick Void.
Oh, nice.
Very interesting. So sort of collaborations of different people, doing stuff that wouldn't normally. And I think Alec and Nick are going to go on doing stuff. So it's just interesting. They're sort of putting stuff together. So I've been doing that. So until live things happen again, I will be working at Raw Power in August. That's my first gig this year.
Cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's one of my favourite festivals, so it's going to be fun. But
you get to see Bad Guys reunite.
Yeah, that wasn't top of the list of fun.
They won't be watching. It's fine. They're not watching.
Sorry, they know. They're aware of my feelings. Sometimes you just got to say it how it is. I like them as people, let's say. So that'll be my first show that I'm working on this year, which will have been over a year. So, I mean, the Lexington's open in a couple of weeks. I don't think they're having any shows till June, which I think most people. That's when I think stuff that's happening at the O2 this weekend. There's a Brits thing, popular music, young people.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm
all about that, yeah.
I've got no idea. They read the list of the nominees and I was like, who are these people? And I think they're doing an experiment of how many thousand people there. no masks, no social distancing. You're allowed to sing if you want to,
Oh.
and that's this weekend, I think. So I guess they're sort of taking steps to see what, how these things are going to pan out. So hopefully by the end of the summer, all the shows that are kind of booked will happen. So
surely. Do you think that people are going to go back with confidence?
I think some people won't. It's going to be. I think it's kind of difficult because obviously travel is restricted. So in a way, that's good for British bands because they're not going to be overshadowed by American bands flying over, or bands from Japan, or but also, is that good for tickets? I don't know. It's so difficult. I mean, I had work booked for February this year that suddenly got cancelled again. So during this lockdown, so it was just sort of like I don't know until they the powers that be that I didn't vote for. I hate. I guess they, following the science and the money, aren't they?
Following the science. God damn.
Who knew it? Who thunk it? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's got to be taken seriously. So, and there's extra steps that will have to be taken in place, for festivals and things. It's going to be a whole new way of doing stuff with lateral flow tests and I mean, I don't know how places are going, festivals are going to work with just like the toilets and things. It's just just something that simple. And do you have to have extra staff testing people as they're coming in, and all of these things. So there's a lot to different factors, and obviously you can't be full capacity either. So money wise, that's why a lot of venues obviously are not opening, because it's not worth financially viable. I think ticket prices will go up to absorb extra costs, because if you can only have a certain percentage of people in your venue, then it's going to be more expensive.
How long that can't last long, surely. That must be.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not a scientist, so I know.
Noted.
Just to be really clear. I don't know.
But on the other side, you do have about 10 copies of High Voltage.
Exactly. Ish, maybe more. But I mean, I've had my first jab. I'm waiting to have my second one, and I was sort of very much of the attitude that if it means I can go back to work, then I will have it. I know that there's a few people that are a bit against it. I can see the arguments on both sides, but there are people dying of this, and it is through social contact. And I do work in an industry where people are, closely.
I was like through the peak of all this, like a bunch of months ago. I was just thinking back to being young and going to see like Rage Against the Machine as an 18-year-old or whatever, and like the
mosh pit.
Yeah. It just felt absolutely revolt. Like about 6 months ago, I was thinking that sounds like the most revolting thing ever.
Yeah, I mean, I did a municipal waste show at ULU last summer, or not last summer, summer before, and I had to do a show stop because it was too rough. I had to stop the show. It's really embarrassing. I mean, luckily I know them, so it wasn't too bad. But just that pit was just, it was dangerous. But just that amount of people, it's revolting.
It sounds really bad now, doesn't it? Like
it does sound really bad. That's why I said if Slint reformed, I'd be happily sit on a really comfy sofa on my own, like able to get around me. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's got to do. I mean, I guess the vaccines are going to help, aren't they? It's going to, we have to go back. But I do think it will put a lot of people off. I think a lot of people won't. I mean, Reading and Leeds, can you think of anything worse? Those two festivals.
Are they happening?
Apparently, still. I mean, they're both sold out. I mean, they're August, aren't they? So we'll see.
Oh.
I can think of anything worse. That's just that's like a pit of spreading diseases of young people.
I must admit, the Reading lineup nowadays is something I look at and recognise about 10% of the bands, it seems to me. I'm like,
it's because you're an old person.
I know, exactly.
I'm the same. It's just like, not. You look at a lineup like Desert Fest and it's like, whoa, this is so good.
Yeah.
Reading's not for you anymore. It's for it's no longer yours.
We've
Give
moved
it away.
on.
Move on. Yeah.
I think I probably.
I always remember I remember stopping. They probably hate me for saying this. I hadn't been to Reading for a really long time, but I remember mine probably about 20 years. My nephews wanted to go, and at the time they were teenagers. I mean, they're sort of grown ups now, but they were teenagers at the time. And I remember thinking, okay, it's time for me not to come. Yeah. If them and their friends are starting to think about this as what they want to do, I don't want to be. This isn't for me. Yeah. So there's a time.
Exactly. Exactly.
Sorry, guys, they ruined it. No, they didn't. But then there were other festivals. You know, ATP was always really good. Supersonic is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, there are other things I'd rather go to. So. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
Have I babbled on enough?
I think that's good. I think we're good. Are we good?
Yeah. I just sound like a moron.
Thanks a lot for doing this. And what we're going to do is we're going to wave, and I'm going to press stop, and we can just quickly talk afterwards once we've stopped it. And we can slag off all the bands you want to slag off. Okay. Once I've pressed stop.
Like secretly recording it.
And another thing. Wave.